One of the things I love about gardening is that I can get free plants. Now, when I walk around my garden and I see all these beautiful flowers and plants, I think, man, I'd like to have more of those. So what I've taught myself to do over the years is to root plants. And right now, it's the beginning of March, and in Southern California, where I'm at, is the perfect time. Hi, I'm Sonia with Suburban Gardening, and I want to share with you something that I do all the time. This is something that no matter what I'm doing in the garden, and as long as it's a decently warm month, it could be spring, summer, or fall, I am looking for plants that I can root. We had a big windstorm a couple of weeks ago, and a bunch of my plants got broken. So I stuck them down in some water just to see what would happen. Of course, I left them in the house, and they rooted. And now today we're going to put them in the ground. But I've got a couple of applications that I do that I've sort of figured out over the years, and some are better than others. So let me have you take a look at this, and you can have beautiful free plants in your garden too. Real quickly, let me go over what we're going to use. Not very many things. Rooting compound, which I'm going to use when I put the stem down into the soil. I have 6 packs. These are the ones that I bought some annuals in and popped around the garden. I just saved the 6-pack. And then I like to use these little containers. These are also for planting seeds in, but they work perfectly for this application too. And I'll show you why in just a second. The other thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need some plants that I've already rooted. Now, any old container will work. When you're out working in the garden and you're trimming, I don't know, these are geraniums, impatiens. I think I have some milkweed in here. Pop it down into the water and then let it sit in there. But the important thing is that it needs to be in a warm environment. If it's really chilly outside, things are starting to come to life, but it's still chilly, go ahead and bring it into the house and leave it on a windowsill. Make sure it stays with plenty of water and see if you can get them to root. Now, I will tell you up front, I'm not always successful. I'll show you one of the things that didn't work. And these are impatiens. I trimmed them. I think they might still eventually root, but they're looking kind of sad. But I want to show you the difference when you do these with a different application. Right here, I have some impatiens that I trimmed, about 3 weeks ago. They were long, stemmy looking things. And what I did was I just had this container, probably something frozen food came in this container. And I put some soil down in here, kept it moist. And then I took the entire stem and I put it down into the soil. Then I covered it with plastic wrap. Can you see those beautiful roots that have come out of there? I didn't even use rooting compound on this application, but these roots are great. And that is what we are going to be planting today. I want to be very careful that I don't mess with those roots. So I actually did this twice. And these ones did the same thing. I don't know. Let's check and see. These ones don't have as much roots, but they're coming along really, really nicely. Yeah, and this one has roots in it. So I want to show you how now you take it from this application and turn it into a plant. And let me mention just one thing real quick. This is how most of the commercial growers start all of these 6-packs. When you find something like this at your store and, you got a 6-pack and they're all beautiful, it's not likely these were started from a seed. These were started from a rooting plant, or they propagated it with rooting compound. That's the way they get a lot of their plants to grow and grow really quickly. So we're going to be doing it like the professionals. This is my absolute favorite application. Now I went ahead and I put some very nice and moist soil into my 6-pack. I'm just going to go ahead and give it a little bit more water. It's going to be very important that when the branches where the leaf nodes are touch the soil, that those roots are activated with all this rooting compound. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of rooting compound down in here. You'll see why in just a second. I can't really dip these little impatiens. They're just not dippable. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay the rooting compound on top of the soil. We're going to do 2 different applications, so no worries. I'll show you both ways. And this guy right here, you know, he's doing really well. This branch is nice and strong. It's not mushy, like the end of it right here is really mushy. So I have 1, 2, 3 plants that I can draw from on here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So there's one. I'm cutting right in between. And that way, what I want is this swollen little leaf node there. I want it in the soil. Just like that. We'll do this one as well. This one's doing pretty good. Whoops. I can see roots here, so we're going to keep that one. That there. And then I can see roots here, so we're going to do this one. Now, no roots yet on this one, but I think we can go ahead and put it in there. And that's it for the roots on that one. Here are my tags. I'm just going to switch it to there. And the thing I want to see happen is that I want this little bulging node to touch that rooting compound, just like that. Now, I'm going to show you how I keep these guys from dying because they're very vulnerable like they are right now. But there's a very simple thing that you can do to keep them moist and to keep them happy. And let me get it out and show you. This basically is something that I use for planting seeds. Now, I put a bunch of cells down in here, and then I put my seeds in and cover it up with the dome. And what happens is that this dome makes like a little greenhouse. It makes a perfect environment. I'm going to keep these in the house where they're going to stay nice and warm. And that way it'll keep these plants alive and they'll have plenty of time to push their roots down into the soil. But I have one more application with the rooting compound I'd like to show you. And this actually is the more normal way. I have several different size pots here because I have several different size geraniums. These geraniums, this one has not rooted yet, but I expect it to very soon. And as soon as I get that rooting compound on there, I think it's going to root really quickly. Now this geranium has this nice big long root here. I just trimmed off this flower so it would think more about growing roots than it would about flowers. And it will actually grow roots all along these little nodes right here. So that one's going to need to go in a much bigger pot to hold it up. And then I have another one that's small like this. I want to show you the application, the way I do it. It's really simple. I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to push a big hole down there because I have a big stem. And then I'm going to put, now this isn't necessary if you already have roots, but I want to give this guy a little hello. Start making roots. And then I'm just going to push the soil in around it, maybe add a little bit more. And he's done. These are exactly the same way. Little rooting compound. You see these, everything gets dirty when you're out in the garden, so I don't want to contaminate my original bottle. There we go. Perfect. And one more. Now I have 3 brand new plants that I know have beautiful flowers. They do very well in my garden. Now I took these out of water. So if you're just trimming them out in the garden and they haven't been down in the water yet, you need to stick that stem in a little bit of water first, just so it's damp, so it'll pick up the rooting compound. There we go, 3 brand new plants. This beautiful vining geranium is one of the plants that I propagated last year. Look at this thing. It's absolutely stunning. I love propagating plants because I get all of these wonderful plants, and I love giving these away to people. Believe me, everybody loves free plants. And this one is absolutely stunning. Can't wait to propagate it a little bit more. Well, you guys, that was something that I just love to do, and I'll be doing it all through the spring and the summer and even into the fall. These plants that I just propagated and I put with the rooting compound, they are going into the house. Now, I had them in the house before in water, and that's how some of them got their roots, but I can't leave them outside. They're too tender, and they won't be able to stand the 45-degree weather. But as soon as it gets warmer, I'll bring them outside, and they'll just be lovely in the garden. Well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you'll give it a try. And keep in mind, it's not always going to be successful. Plants are finicky. Sometimes they really want to grow, and sometimes they just don't. So just keep trying. Just keep putting things in water and see how they do, and then you can put them in soil, and you'll have lots of free plants. Well, thanks you guys so much for stopping by. I'll see you next time.